Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we have a review of the new Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. Alright guys, I am so excited to finally be sitting down playing with this. I actually had this palette a few and then I actually ended up getting sick, so I wasn't able to film right away, and I am so sad because I just wanted to dig into this. So this again is the new Nouveau palette. This is the outer packaging, so it's just this kind of foresty green, kind of a textured look. Opening up the actual package, we get a very textured green palette, very similar to their older style packaging, and then it's got this gold trim just like their Primrose palette had. So very pretty. It looks very expensive, feels very luxe, feels very classic ABH. Size wise, it is almost the same size as her original palettes in this format. The original palettes were a little larger, but not by much. And then compared to the Primrose palette, this is the size. This palette has 12 shades, and this retails for 68 Canadian dollars or 55 US. This is made in the US and has a 12-month shelf life. Opening up the palette, you do get a nice mirror over here, and you get 12 eyeshadows. So what's really nice about this, and comparing to her former eyeshadow packaging, is you got 14 shades, but you got a brush that nobody would use, and the pan sizes were really tiny. If you have a larger collection, that's not really a big deal, but the pans were pretty small. And then she graduated to the Primrose palette back in the fall and gave us 10 shadows and 2 blushes. So I think a lot of people really enjoyed this new format with the larger pan sizes and no brush, but a lot of people wanted to get rid of these blushes. They just, 2 shades are not going to work for everybody. They're kind of pointless for a lot of people. I feel like she really listened to that feedback with this one, because now we have 12 shades, we have the larger pan sizes, we have no blushes, and this feels much more like traditional ABH. So to me, that's very exciting. This color story is really pretty. I personally think it's kind of unique. It's actually reminding me a ton of the Urban Decay Wild Greens palette. We'll do a comparison toward the end, but this looks really pretty to me. There is a lot of shimmers in here. So they describe this as inspired by the rich hues and duochrome shades of Summer Dreams. Nouveau palettes reinvented mattes and multi-dimensional metallics leave everything to your imagination. Think amped up, everyday neutrals, perfect pops of color, and a fresh green color story that feels ethereal. It's sublime, it's all in one, and designed to create all your day to night looks. It does say there are 3 shades that are not meant for the eye area. So let's look at some swatches. We all know this is not my strongest point, but that is okay. So the first shade we'll look at is Wings, and this is described as a metallic silver green with sparkling reflex, and I definitely think that's a really good description. That's a beautiful shade, and it absolutely felt like butter going on. Next is the shade Isle, which is a metallic blonde gold. Also very beautiful. Look how beautiful and reflective and shiny those are. That's beautiful. Okay, next we have Belle, which is a metallic antique bronze. Also very beautiful. These metallics are so buttery. Okay, the next shade is the first one we have that is not meant for the eye area. It is a pressed pigment, and this is Wisteria, which is a matte pastel lavender with sparkling reflex. I don't really, I see a little bit of the sparkle, I guess. Not a ton though. I'm probably going to do a pretty simple look today. If the palette turns out to be a hit, we can certainly do a lot more looks with it. Okay, Lily is a metallic rose gold with multi-dimensional reflex. That's pretty. I want to play with that one today for sure. Then we have Hope, which is a metallic olive green with gold reflex. This palette is beautiful. Yeah, except for the purple, so far I feel like this palette is what I was expecting out of Wild Greens. Okay, the next shade we have is another one that is a pressed pigment, and that is Paloma, which is simply just a cream shade, matte creamy ivory with sparkling reflex. And it barely shows up on my skin tone. Fleur is a matte golden peach, and what I like about Fleur is it reminds me of one of the mattes in the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette that is one of my very favorite shades. It's just very flattering on me personally. So that is Fleur. Next we have Liberty, which is a matte muted hunter green. Also very pretty. These colors are definitely making me want to play with greens. So the next shade is Peacock, and this is a duochrome bluish green brown with pink reflex. That is interesting. Okay. That's a really interesting shade. That is a really interesting shade. I don't normally like those kind of bluey brown tone shades just because I don't think they're always the most flattering. Next is Metro, and this is the last shade that is a pressed pigment. And this is just a matte rich clay. I really like that also. And then we have the shade Muse, which is a metallic dark chocolate brown. Oh, and that swatched quite well for a very dark shade, but that is our color story. Not bad. I'm quite impressed. Okay, let's prime the eyes and let's get into doing a look. Again, we're going to just do a simple look today, nothing crazy, but I did at least want to try this out, share my thoughts, and I'm just using my trusty Milani primer for this one. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take Paloma, and I'm just going to set down my lid with that shade. This is actually a pretty pigmented cream shade, but my eyes are not in their best shape over the last couple days. Okay, so I'm going to start by going into the shade Fleur, and I'm going to take that in the crease. This shade reminds me so much of the transition shade in the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette, the lighter palette. And it's one of my all-time favorite shades. It's just so flattering for me as a crease shade personally. And I do notice I am getting a bit of kick up, but I kind of expect that with the brand. I do find I do tend to get a lot of kick up. However, they blend really well, so the kick up doesn't really bother me. I am very excited to see the brand kind of starting to come out with palettes again. I know they took a hiatus there for a while, and it was needed, but I am glad to see them making a bit of a comeback. This shade is definitely a little lighter than I expected, but not in a bad way. Okay, so I think next I'm going to take Metro. I'm going to really go on that outer corner and deepen the crease as well. Like I said, a very basic look today. I just want to test and play with the palette, but we can definitely do a multiple looks, one palette video if you guys are interested in that. Love to do that. Sometimes I swear I'm going to do it, but I want to wait and see if I like the palette first, because if I don't like the palette, then I don't really want to commit to doing 5 whole looks with it. These shades blended into each other really nicely. These are really blending with each other really well. This is definitely, in my opinion, their good formula. I'm really pleased. So now I just want to take Lily, and I just want to take that on a finger. I cannot help myself. I cannot help myself. I need this shade on my lids. All over. Oh, it's beautiful. That is so, yeah, we're getting some fallout. I should not have done my face makeup first, but that's fine. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just grab a powder brush. Hopefully I get rid of some of that fallout. Oh, that brushed away really easily. Okay. All right then. That shade, I don't know if that's coming off on camera, but this shade is so beautiful. I just want to add a little bit more of the matte shade out here. Why do I love that shade so much? It's just got such a beautiful shift to it. This is the one that is supposed to be like a metallic rose gold with multi-dimensional reflex. And I kind of see that. Oh, it's so pretty. Like, this is definitely probably not the most interesting shade in the palette, but it is the one that makes my heart the happiest. Okay, I'm just gonna take, I think I'm gonna take Isle. I'm just gonna do that on the inner part of my lid, inner part and inner corner. Yeah, there's still a lot of shades in this palette I want to try. For me, I really needed something simple today, but I'm so intrigued by these other shades. I really just want to play with them and get to know them. Ooh, okay. Well, I was bringing that up higher. I don't really know why. I was just kind of letting the brush take me where it wanted to, and I really like that too. I am obsessed with that lily shade. My gosh. Okay, let me pop off camera, pop on some mascara, and I will be right back. Alright guys, so here is the finished look. Like I said, very basic look today. I just needed something simple. I just needed to play with this palette. And based on how much I like this palette, we're definitely going to be doing a multiple looks one video. I cannot help myself. This is gorgeous. So one thing I mentioned was that the only palette I have in my collection that this palette kind of reminds me of is the Urban Decay Wild Greens palette. So this is their comparison side by side. So the Wild Greens obviously has a lot more shades. It doesn't have that pop of purple, and it does have more greens. That being said, this row here reminds me a lot of the palette. However, quality-wise, ABH kills it. Urban Decay, this was not their best work. So if you're looking for this type of color story, Urban Decay is going to get you more greens, but if you're looking for pigment and performance, I'm gonna say Nouveau. This is the ABH quality that we know and love so much. I do think she completely changed the formula when she released her Primrose palette back in the fall. This is the same formula as that, but it is a very, very good formula. I had no trouble making these shades work. They blended together so effortlessly. I did get some fallout with Lily when I went all over the lid. I did get a little bit, but it brushed away like nothing. I was very impressed with that as well. The metallics swatched like butter, and they went on the lid so beautifully. The metallics blended so easily as well. The shade Fleur was definitely lighter and required a little bit more building, but I did not mind that. And then Metro was such a beautiful darkening shade. There's so much more that I want to do with this palette. I need to play with that purple. I need to do something green. I am so excited, and I feel quite inspired by this palette. When I first saw the color story, I was like, oh, I don't know, this might be... I knew I wanted to pick it up. I knew I wanted to review it. I wanted to add it to my ABH collection, but I was like, I don't know if the color story is going to be my favorite. But it is. Like, it's one of those that kind of surprises me. I just look at it and I feel inspired. Much like the ABH Norvina Volume 5, something about it called to me, and I did not think I would get as much use out of it as I did, and now it's one of my favorites. So I have to say, this is a hit. This is so beautiful. I am so pleased with this. I like that I was able to create a very wearable look with it like I did today. Something just super easy, but also just feels really fun. I also know I'm going to be able to create some looks that are definitely more out of my comfort zone, but I'm okay with that. I'm very excited for that. I really, really like this. So the fact that I am excited to do a multiple looks with it, that tells you right there that I am really into this palette. I cannot wait to do that. I cannot wait to do more. This palette has impressed me. I am so, so pleased. I do think it's expensive. If you really want this palette and you have patience, I would suggest waiting for their Black Friday sale. Their Black Friday sale last year was nuts. It was so good. But I do think the website runs quite a few sales, so I would honestly wait and get it off there. The website also has really fast shipping, so I would definitely recommend shopping their website if for some reason you don't want to shop Sephora or you want to wait for a sale. Their website's really good. But overall, this palette really impressed me much more than I thought it would. So definitely in love with this, definitely excited to play with it more. I'm so excited, and it is a pretty unique color story to my collection. Again, the only one I have that is similar is the Wild Greens, and I don't like that one because I don't like the formula. So this is a hit. I'm so glad I picked it up. It was absolutely worth the splurge for me. But that is it for me today. Let me know down below if you're thinking of picking this one up, or if not, let me know about that too. But that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. And that's it for me today. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!